As part of the In Search of project, I started to really start searching into what different topics, words, ideas meant to different people. And so I wanted to understand how people really kind of come to what their thoughts were about what spirituality was, what peace was, what energy was, all of these things, because we all have our own ideas. And sometimes it's really hard to put it into words. Sometimes it's really hard to formulate our own ideas. And so hopefully you'll be able to see some of these videos and say, you know what, I resonate with that. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with you. There's one thing that we can't escape, and that is grief. No matter what happens in the world, what happens in your life, who we love and lose, whether it's a job, whether it's an animal, whether it's a friend, whether it's a neighbor, whether it's our partner, whether it's a child, at some point, we're all going to come into contact with grief. So I went in search of what is grief?
It's energy that needs to be honored. It's energy that needs to be honored specifically for the experience of us choosing to unconsciously or consciously give our power away and forget who we really are. So grief usually happens so when you think you've lost someone, whether it's a relationship or a parent, who they transcend. The mind usually thinks that it lost them, but ultimately your core essence know that you didn't. Energy doesn't die. It's always evolving and expanding and evolve and growing. And so from that space, what could happen if you allowed yourself to honor the grief and feel what needs to be felt? You're going to uncover that peace that is always there for you, because grief is just the manifestation of us thinking that we are anything other than peace.
So for me, well, one, it's necessary because I think that we have to, I think when we grieve, we're given the opportunity to also offer gratitude for knowing and experiencing someone or something. Um, but I also feel like sometimes grief can be, and I hate to say this, this is lack of a better word, selfish, only because, for instance, I've lost a lot of people in my life, people near and dear to me. And so my grieving process was a celebration that they're going on to something much better and bigger than I can ever comprehend right now in this world. And so to me, if I were to hold on to them by being like, you can't leave and this hurts too much, it's a little selfish because I want to keep them with me. Right. So I'd rather celebrate those that have moved on and give them my love and light for their journey home. And just like look forward to seeing them again, because that will be cool wherever we go. Right. Only the good die young. We just go hang out and party in the afterlife.
But people grieve in many different ways for losing a job or losing a loved one. But something that actually came to me during meditation, I hate to sound like one of those people, I'm so sorry, was grief is actually beautiful. That's where you get to evaluate why you're sad, why you're feeling alone, and then giving yourself that time. That's what we don't do. We don't give ourselves enough time. And then ask yourself those questions. What can I do to make me feel happy? Why do I feel like I lost somebody? What lessons can I learn from it, and what can I change, or what can I do different moving forward? That's the thing, you have to move forward. So grief, it sucks. In the moment, it sucks, it's shitty, but it's also really beautiful, the lessons that are within it.
In many ways we grieve all the time without even realizing. It's not just losing a loved one or a human being, or I think it's it's loss and pain and energy.
Looking at that person's life, if the grief is due to someone that we've lost, a lot of times during the process of their passing, if it's someone close to us, we have to take on other roles that don't always allow us to process our grief.
Yeah.
And I know when my mom passed, you know, my dad was already gone. I had to kind of step into the role of kind of being the masculine energy and the male figure in the family. And I had to take on a lot of holding that space for the family. And I didn't get a lot of opportunity to move through my own grief. And, you know, knowing this and knowing that I was in that capacity, you know, a few months later when my mom was gone and all the family things were taken care of, I really wanted to move the grief, and I wanted to do it in a way that was going to be a connection to my mom on the other side as well. So I said, wow, how can I honor my mom and create ceremony for her, you know, and connect with her and move through some of this grief? And music was the key, you know, to doing that. You know, one of my mother was really, really instrumental in my musical path, although she wouldn't have considered herself a musician. My mom taught me to play Yellowbird on the piano, you know, with her fingers going over mine when I was like 3 or 4 years old. You know, my mom was always a supporter who's like, oh, I love that song, you know, when I was doing it, right? And my mom also, you know, said that she wanted a specific piece of music used when she was buried, Chopin's Nocturne 9 in E flat.
Wow.
In E flat. So I said, wow, these are really great things to honor her with. So I created a playlist of Harry Belafonte's Yellowbird, which was the first song she taught me. I put some of my music that I knew that my mom loved, you know, from an Angel CD I created. There's a song called One White Feather that I wrote that my mom really loved. And then I put Chopin's Nocturne in E flat on there. And those 3 songs really just created this beautiful rite of passage that allowed me to connect with my mom and really feel her energy, to know that she's not gone, right? It's just really connecting with her and allowing me to move through the grief. And I cried through it, and I released a lot of energy, and I thanked her, and it really allowed me to move through that grief and enhance our connection in a different way. So I'd say for people who are experiencing grief, whether it's a loved one passing or a relationship that's no longer there, you know, what playlist could you create that would honor that relationship? Or, you know, if it's a breakup that, you know, is not something that, you know, necessarily was honoring to you, what song can allow you to release some anger, you know, within that grief? It doesn't always have, right? It doesn't always have to be, you know, it's about moving energy, because anytime you move that energy, you're releasing a block. And when you release a block, it's a healing.
Right.
I would say honor your grief, allow your grief. In, you know, some people, especially people in the new age, they say, you know, I know that life goes on, I shouldn't be sad. Yes, you should be sad, even though life goes on. Our bodies have a memory of that physicality, and the body needs to grieve. Even if your mind is like, oh yeah, it's fine, they're with the angels, which I've heard a lot of people say that, but allow your body to grieve, allow your soul to grieve, and it's okay. It's a part of the healing process.